Hi, my name is Jacob Kirkegaard. I'm a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, which is an independent think tank in Washington, as well as the think tank Bruegel in Brussels, where I focus on things like long-term structural economic reforms, integration in Europe, issues related to military-industrial development, demographics, pension systems, immigration, and a long host of other labor market issues. So yes, I look forward to being with you today. Well, I think there's a number of lessons from recent decades of European economic development and history that are relevant. The first ones are not very nice, actually, which is that we have now again major armed warfare in Europe, obviously between Russia and Ukraine. The previous biggest instance of armed instability was the civil war in Yugoslavia. But what it shows basically is that there is, when it comes to regional economic development, stability, investment, development, etc., that there is a fundamental basic foundation of physical security that really does play a role. And when that is not the case, then it tends to spill over to the broader region. That's certainly what happened both in Europe in the 1990s and what is happening today in the countries neighboring Russia and Ukraine. So that is one lesson that I think all African leaders should do, is that the foundation of lasting economic development really is a degree of physical stability. Secondly, Europe, I think, clearly shows that regional integration really matters. It is the way to generate gains from trade, economies of scale, and thereby generate an economic capacity that makes you competitive also on the global market. And I think for Africa today, this is particularly relevant because Africa today faces something that Europe didn't face decades ago, namely China. And China is an economy that will be competitive across virtually all manufacturing sector segments, from the most advanced to the least advanced. And without regionally generated scale and integration, Africa unfortunately will struggle in the competition also against China. Well, I think there are basically two truly transformational technological events going on as we speak. The first one is climate change, the decarbonization, the shift away from fossil fuels to renewable energy, and ultimately electrification of the entire economy. There, I think it is absolutely crucial that Africa, which is the continent in the world that is probably best endowed with sun, as well as ample, in most African countries, lots of space. And sun and space is what you really need to generate a large amount of solar energy. This can be done also at the micro level in a sort of distributed grid system. You don't need millions of people put together in a centralized grid. You can build up from the village or small city level. So I think it's absolutely crucial that African countries seizes the opportunity for leapfrogging in many places. Actually, the traditional fossil fuel powered economy of the advanced world, and goes directly, in some cases, to the solar powered renewable economy. That, in my opinion, is the best foundation for lasting development in Africa. The second mega trend, if you like, that we're facing is, quote unquote, of course, AI. And there, I think it's important to not do the wrong things. And this is not just true for Africa, but it's probably more true for Africa than most other countries. And the wrong things about AI is to think that you need to have the biggest and fastest computers. You need the biggest number of NVIDIA chips. that actually won't matter very much in terms of getting the economic benefits from AI. What you need to generate the benefits from AI is to collect data from companies, from sectors, from countries, and then use specific applications of AI to train on these sector, on firm-specific data sets. So what you need is the capacity to collect data and the skills to use and design AI applications. So it's really about data and skills. If African leaders can get that right, the continent has good opportunities to benefit tremendously also from the AI. Well, I would say, echoing partly what I've already mentioned, that I think what African leaders need to do, in my opinion, is really to look to the region. Regional integration will be most important factor in a longer-term development path for all of Africa. And this cuts both ways. I mean, it will matter to individual African leaders whether there is instability in the countries next door. So everybody has an interest, therefore, that peace and stability prevails. That's the first one. Second one, African leaders, as I said, they need to move forward on regional integration. That's absolutely what will be required for economies of scale, the gains from trade. African leaders needs to focus on the provision of broad-based educational skills. That means the focus, in my opinion, first and foremost, should be on primary and secondary education, not for the few, but for everybody. It will not provide, especially in a world where robotic automation of many manufacturing jobs going forward, AI will also replace many entry-level services sector jobs. So what you really do need, therefore, is a laser-sharp focus on primary and secondary education from African countries to really provide the foundation for employability, entrepreneurship, and therefore economic growth. Yes, university and tertiary education, of course, also matters, but it is not the principal components of what is a sustainable growth path for Africa going forward. There, leaders they need to look to the earlier years in primary and secondary school. If they do that, they will, also because Africa demographically looks a lot better than the rest of the world, they will have a platform where Africa can actually finally take its rightful place, if you might say, among the fast-growing economic regions of the world. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it instructive and inspiring. And please do not hesitate to reach out to the producers of this program or myself if you have any further questions on any of the topics discussed. Thank you.